The area had been cordoned off. It's been the site of a number of protests in the past, including one demonstration nearly 4 decades ago in which 34 people were killed. And this was the first attempt by protesters to gather in Taksim Square since police were given new crowd control powers. Let's go over to Marko Lowen, who's in Istanbul. Mark, how are things looking now?
Karen, the protests have dwindled and have sort of petered out, really, but they were pretty large and pretty unpleasant at one point. I was caught up in the middle of a large crowd that was protesting peacefully for a couple of hours. They were shouting slogans, they were singing songs, and then inevitably the tension boiled over as they tried to push towards the police. The police pushed back. They used water cannon and tear gas. We got caught up in a huge wave of tear gas, and really I'd sort of forgotten how unpleasant it is when it just absolutely fills your face and your eyes, and it makes it extremely difficult to breathe. So we were sort of pushed back, and I was kind of out really for a good 20 or so minutes, recovering from the tear gas. There were rubber bullets fired against some of the protesters. They were trying to push through police lines, as you say, to get to Taksim Square, which the police had cordoned off. They say that they were trying to keep order, but for the protesters it was extremely frustrating because they felt that Taksim Square was an important place for Labour Day and an important place to honour the dead. As you said, back in 1977, 34 or so people killed by unknown gunmen back then.
Yeah, Mark, I mean, this has been a traditional gathering point for demonstrators, workers' rights protesters on May the 1st. I mean, how recently has it been such a place of high security? How long has the government been trying to stop gatherings there?
It's within the last few years, really, that the Labour Day solidarity protests have become more anti-government protests. You'll remember that wave of huge anti-government demonstrations back in June 2013, the largest anti-government demonstrations in Turkey's history. And that showed the depth of anger that there is against this government, against a perceived growing authoritarianism of Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey's president, formerly prime minister. I would say, Kara, at the moment, Turkey is not a very happy place. It is politically divided. There are financial jitters. It is in a tense pre-election period. And today on the streets of Istanbul, you could see how much that tension just erupted on the streets